Hey, what's up? In my last video, I went over on how to design a chassis. Today, I'll be talking about the third step, how to research parts for moving project part 3, or an introduction to support parts. So far, we picked parts from requirements. I'll call those motion parts from now on, and a chassis design. Well, this then brings up several questions like, how do I attach motion parts to a chassis, since a chassis is the frame for motion parts? Or, what do I do with the motor I just picked? How do I design around motors? Support parts are the answer to all that. In general, support parts are parts that support your motion parts. Anything that helps the motion part in any way in order to get it moving is considered a support part. So how do you identify a support part? Support parts fall into 4 general categories: attachment, mount, power, and control. Attachment parts are things like nuts, bolts, screws, and any general attachment hardware. Basically, parts that can hold other parts together or to the chassis. No glue. Glue is permanent and is a real pain to remove when you have a broken part that needs replacing because things do break. Glue is also a pain to remove when you want to reuse parts from old projects. Mount parts are the specially customized parts that are made to hold the more complex part together or to the chassis. Think of these as custom parts made for a specific motion part. You can make your own, but I would not recommend making one for a beginner due to the time and skills involved. Power parts are your batteries, voltage converters, fuses, and anything having to do with creating and regulating a power source. Usually this is electrical based, but other types do exist. Control parts are things like potentiometers, microcontrollers, encoders, anything that has to do with controlling automatic motion parts. Like power parts, most of these parts will be electrical in nature. Just like how I mentioned motion parts before in part 1, the best thing you can do to learn about these support parts is to find and research them. Also Google. Lots of Google. I recommend high dosages that will last you several hours. Now, which support part you need depends on your motion type. For manual types, you just need 2, attachment and mount. We need just 2 types because in manual projects, motion is generated from you. That means that the project doesn't need its own control or power system because it is all coming from you. For automatic types, you need all of them. This is because automatic project motion is from the motor. Motors won't do much by themselves, they need a power source in order to move. And we need a control system to tell it what to do because motors can't read our mind. At least not yet. There's a ton of stuff about power and control that I will have to cover in other videos due to the time I have here, so keep an eye out for that. Let's do an example for both manual and automatic scooters. For a manual scooter, our parts list last time was 360-degree hinge, wheels, and a metal board. Well, first we need to figure out how to attach these motion parts to the metal board. We will need attachment and mount parts at least. Wheels are going to need a mount part since screws, nails, etc. won't cut it. Something like this. Still going to need screws and such to attach that though. The 360-degree hinge can be attached by drilling a hole in the chassis and slipping it in like so. Additionally, we need parts for the handlebar and the part that runs down from the handlebar to the wheel here. 2 metal pipes will do. Our final parts list is a 360-degree hinge, wheels, wheel mounts, metal board, a long metal pipe, a short metal pipe, screws, and nuts. For automatic parts, our parts list last time was motors and metal board. In addition to figuring out how to attach motors to the chassis, we also need to figure out a proper control and power circuit. In the interest of time, we'll just generalize and add them to the list as controls in a power circuit. I'll go into details on designing control and power circuit, but it won't be here. Okay, back to the motor. Well, we'll need a mount part for sure, so something like this. We'll also need parts to attach the motor to wheels since the motors will be driving the scooter. We still need the 360-degree hinge since that is our turning mechanism, and we still need the 2 pipes from last time. Final parts list is control circuit, power circuit, motors, motor mounts, motor wheel mounts, wheels, 360-degree hinge, metal board, long metal pipe, short metal pipe, screws, and nuts. Wow, what a list. This is very common for automatic projects though. The fact that the project has to move on its own means that it will need a lot more than its manual counterpart. Keep in mind that these lists are very general and it's not uncommon to find out later that you're missing something. I do it all the time. In my next video, I will go over on how to put motion parts, the chassis, and support parts together. If you like this, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Feel free to throw some suggestions too. Thanks.